Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with?
And welcome everyone to the Man Cave. My name is Paul Knapp, and I will be your host for tonight's show. This is season number 1, episode number lucky 13, and waiting in the green room is our special guest tonight, Mr. John Sanheim, or as I like to call him, the Flag Man. So we've been waiting to get him on our show, so we're looking forward to having him on. But before we get started with him, let me bring in my panel of guests tonight. And we don't have Stacey Armstrong with us tonight, unfortunately, but we do have his sidekick right here, Rick Bradshaw.
Yeah, I'll fill in for Stacey. It's tough, but I'll fill in.
Well, Stacey said something like he had to go see his gynecologist about something, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but you know,
I no comment. Sorry.
He read somewhere that women live longer than men, so he's thinking about doing that sex change so he can get about 7 or 8 more years in.
Yeah, I think he's about 40 years too late.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, we got my buddy Mr. Joe Baker joining us tonight. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Great, man. You look cold out there. Where you at? In your basement? You look like
I'm in my basement. It's snowing outside here in Minnesota, so
oh man,
it's cold down here.
Rick, is it snowing up in New Hampshire?
No, we've been getting nothing but rain. At least in southern New Hampshire. Northern's been getting snow.
All right. And somebody else that comes from cold weather, from Canada himself, John Salatellis. A little chilly up there or no?
No, it's all right. It's about what's +6 in Fahrenheit, whatever that is in Fahrenheit.
we don't do math on my show. Okay, we don't do math on my show. Right?
So a bit of wind. We had some freezing rain on the weekend, and apparently they're calling for more freezing rain on Thursday. No snow though. I hope. I don't want to see it anymore. I'm done. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah. Ready for spring, man. Ready for spring.
Oh yeah.
Well, before we get started with our show tonight, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat room. We got Murray Corrigan. He's also from Canada. How you doing, Murray?
Yeah.
Paul,
Murray.
He's here from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Paul, I'm going to see you at the Gettysburg show, I believe, in about 4 weeks. May 4th is the Gettysburg Toy Soldier show, so I'll be up there for that. Moondoggy's here, as always. Thank you for joining us. Big Boss Jack.
Dan DiBiase.
Dan DiBiase.
Yeah.
He's our G.I. Joe guy. We might be converting him too, man. That's kind of cool. We got some Monday night guys that come to Tuesday night show. That's good, man. Ronald McDonald's here from the UK. He says he collects flags. Well, you're going to see a lot of flags tonight, brother. Paul's here. Did I miss anybody? Moondoggy.
Barb is here.
Oh, Barb. Yeah, Barb.
And
Barb missed us last week. She apologized. She was doing something, but
I think that's it for now.
So, as always, I want to go around the room and say what's new in your zoo. We'll start off with Rick. Anything new? Well, I know what's new in your zoo. You showed us last night, but I want you to show this crowd.
I'll show them again. These are totally inappropriate, of course.
Well,
these are gesturing soldiers.
Gesturing soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
Gesturing soldiers.
Is that what they were called? Is that what they were called when you bought them?
No, but if you look up funny green army men, and this is what comes up. So if you're looking to purchase any, look up funny green army men, and they're all over eBay. Walmart even sells them. Of course, they ship from China, but Walmart you can get them. See if I can get him.
Are
This
they
guy's-
all? Can you buy them in like non-modern? Can you get like World War II guys following or
No, I think they're all kind of like
modern
a
figures?
modern generic soldier, and they have blue ones that are sailors. So they got the the typical sailor hat, but they look
Yeah.
about they're the exact same, just a different hat, same weapons, and they do women too, which are pretty interesting.
Oh, cool.
So I'm again, I think I said this last night. I'm looking forward to figuring out some photos for this. I don't know how good they'll go over on Facebook.
You gonna paint those guys or what?
No, I'll leave them as is. They're pretty good. They're not super expensive, but they're not like wicked cheap either. I think those 3 cost me like $36 shipping
Wow.
from.
Wow,
I think
yeah.
they actually ship from Korea actually. So I got one other thing to show. This will be the last plane I show. I hope I can even get this on screen. So what I got, again, 21st century, and this is a
Wow.
132nd. No, I'm sorry, 118 P-38 Lightning Lockheed.
Dude, that's huge, man. Where
Yeah.
do you keep that? You hang it from the ceiling?
No, it sits on a shelf in the garage.
Man.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
right next to the Corsair I showed.
Yeah, the Corsair last week. That was nice.
This thing is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
Single pilot plane. They were manufactured from 1941 to 45. They were used in Europe and the Pacific. Considered a very good plane. They were used as general fighters, fighter bombers, night fighters, and long-range escort fighters. So they were very versatile. Had a top speed of 414 miles per hour and a range of 1,300 miles. And an interesting thing is when Yamamoto was flying to Bougainville Island to do inspections, America found out and they dispatched 16 P-38s and shot them down, killed them.
Yeah.
So cool
Wow.
plane. No idea like how to display it or anything. It just sits in the garage. Hopefully
Does it have a pilot? Does the cockpit open? Or?
It did, yeah. The cockpit opens, and it opens the way a real one opens. It's
Yeah.
kind of sliding. It's hard to see, but this slides up and down. I don't mess around with it too much because, again, the plastic is,
Yeah.
But I found this at the flea market. Guy said it was complete. It wasn't, but it was complete enough.
No, it looks good, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's got these big, you can see them right here, big rocket tubes.
Yep. Very nice.
So it's a fun one.
All right.
These are getting very expensive if you can find them.
Oh yeah, if you can find them. Yeah.
You can find them, but like shipping. Good luck shipping them and getting them in one piece, if you know what I mean.
Right. All right, we're gonna head to Joe Baker's basement. Joe, what you got new for us? I know you went to the show last week or the week before. You got anything?
Well, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is the damaged wagon. I got it from Spira, but it's from Artigial Studios. He's the sculptor of it, and this is something I've wanted forever.
Cool.
For things. And then I unboxed some of the stuff that was bagged from Warhorse, and I don't know if you can see it or not over here.
Yeah, we can see your shelf. Oh yeah,
the figure.
Native.
So yeah, they've got the Cheyenne on the top.
Yep.
And then the Civil War.
If you angle it down just a little bit, you can see the Civil War one. Yep, there you go.
And then the 3 Mexicans are from Larry Patterson.
Okay. Yeah, the ponchos on the side. Yeah, sombreros.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, cool.
So Warhorse is making Native Americans now?
Yeah, they have quite a few actually. Lots of woodland from French and Indian War, and they have some Crow plus the Cheyenne here.
All right.
And so I'm really impressed with these Cheyenne. I really, really am.
So you gonna be painting that wagon up, or no? You gonna leave it?
I'll paint it. Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
I have so much stuff I need to paint.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
Let's head up to Canada. John Salatellis, what do you got for us, man? What's new in your zoo?
What's up, guys? So I got a couple of things to show, and a couple of orders coming. I contacted Ken from Ken Syke from last week from LOD.
Yep.
Because I through the website, whoever lives in Canada cannot order directly because it doesn't offer shipping to Canada. But you'd have to, once you contact him, he'll hook you up. It's not a problem. So I ordered a couple of those Barzo wall little Tripoli walls. Whoever's familiar with that set, there's two little walls that came with, because I have the rest of the pieces that just didn't have those two, so I got those and a few figures. I think I got a George Washington Barzo and a Long John Silver, I believe. As well as I ordered a few 21st Century and Forces of Valor tanks from Hobby Bunker from Matt. He usually replenishes his stock, every time he buys a collection or they come in. If you subscribe to his letter, you get first dibs, or you see that they're available. So you head out, and they go pretty fast. Let me tell you. So I got I think about 4 or 5, I believe, vehicles altogether. Some Allies, some German. And I received from a seller named Rodney's Gallery. Are you guys familiar with? I think from Florida. Sorry, Rodney. I'm pretty sure it's from Florida. So I picked up the Thomas Gunn Radio Shack camo version.
Oh, nice.
And it opens up.
Is it 3D printed?
No. This is I don't know if it's resin, but it feels
polystone or something.
Yeah, probably. It's not extremely heavy. And I got from because he had a sale going on, like I think 30% off, or sorry, 15 or something like that, and a War Park miniatures, the red brick building facade. This is polystone.
Oh wow! Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's huge, man.
Yeah, it's.
Can I ask how much it cost?
This was with the rebate about 180.
War Park is outstanding.
Yeah, but it was really, really nice, and I figured you really don't find them on sale, and a lot of stores don't actually, when they have a sale, they exclude anything from King and Country, JG, I think, and War Park, and since the coupon went through, I tried it, so it stayed. So I bought it. I was waiting for him to email me and say, sorry, this is not for sale. It's not on sale.
Yeah.
But he didn't. So E4 Airman, love the Steelers hat. Thank you very much, my friend. Well,
I was just waiting for a quarterback.
We're still waiting for a quarterback.
Hope you get our old one.
Oh yeah, maybe. Looks like them.
Right on. Well, we got Scavenger Toys and Collectibles. That's Swamp Fox Miniatures. So he's with us tonight. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Oh yeah.
I did a box opening on his stuff last week, I believe. So
great stuff coming every week. I see. A lot of the wounded. I
used to be anti 3D printing, but now after Joe Baker got me hooked on Spiria, and I'm seeing all these other companies. I'm starting to get hooked, man.
Incredibly well. I've seen work from you guys, from James Viola, who you had on, and he's painted a few of those, and they just look, oh my god, magnificent. I think I'm gonna ship all of mine to him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Here, in your spare time, paint all these.
Yeah. Amazing. Great job.
So, hey, I usually don't say what's new in my zoo, but I have to give you guys a little hint on the play set that I got coming up.
All right.
For the Gettysburg Toy Soldier Show. So I'm gonna show you 2 figures that I got from Spiria that are gonna be included in the set. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Yeah, nice.
That's a Southern sharpshooter. Ooh, where'd I go? There he is. And then we have a Northern sharpshooter. You can see their scopes on the rifle.
Yeah.
You see that? Yeah. So, not telling you what the play set is, but each week I'm going to give you guys a little hint. So if you're interested, make sure you're at the Gettysburg Toy Soldier Show. I'm only making 10 of those sets. I'll be bringing them with me. And Yeah, sniper. They weren't called snipers back then yet. They were still sharpshooters, I think, right? Joe?
Believe so.
I don't think they picked up that name sniper.
Berndon or something in the green uniforms.
Yeah, the green ones from the north. Yeah, Bardens. So, well, are you guys ready for Mr. Flag Guy himself?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's bring him in. I got a bunch of his flags right here. He's going to talk us through a bunch of them. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. John Sanheim. How you doing tonight, sir?
Fine, thank you. How are you guys doing? And bonjour, Jean.
Bonjour. Nice to see you.
I think your temperature up there is about, let's see, 43. Does that sound right? Fahrenheit?
Possibly. You're going to make me look it up. I will.
He Googled it already.
And John, you got a little helper with you tonight. You want to introduce him?
This is my grandson, Josiah.
Hi.
He's
Hi, Josiah.
17 years old and very tall for his age. I'd say 6'6".
Oh, wow.
Something like that.
Damn, man.
I'm sitting down right now, so it doesn't matter.
Right. His dad is tall, so he's tall. Whole family's tall. But glad to see you guys. And I do a lot of different flags. I have a catalog of the flags I do. And anybody wants to email me, and I'll email you the whole shooting match here. There's a lot of pages of flags: Civil War, Revolutionary War, Napoleonic. Well, these are illustrations I've done in the past. Medieval, and they're pretty popular. I also sell my flags in what I call do-it-yourself sets. So here we go. This is
Yeah, you might get us on trouble on YouTube right now, but that's okay. We'll take a chance. We'll take a chance.
Yeah.
If we get knocked off the air, somebody text me and let me know.
Yeah, right.
Well, that happened last week. Somebody showed a pistol, a Star Wars blaster, and got knocked off. My buddy Jeff.
For showing a Star Wars toy gun.
It was a gun, and the AI caught it and shut his sight down. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, AI. The curse of this generation, I think, is AI.
So I think if we go quickly and don't focus in on anything, it'll probably be okay.
Right. So people that buy my flags, many times they have a little difficulty making them look, because my flags are made out of paper. And the reason is that it's very light. So if you use one of my flags with one of your figures, you don't have to worry about a giant base on the figure and the flag pulling it over like you do with a lead figure or even some of the other flags that are manufactured. So to keep them light, I make my flags out of paper, and people have a hard time making them look like they're blowing in the wind. So I was going to do a little demonstration of how easy it is to do this.
Yeah.
If you're interested.
No, yeah, definitely.
It's an interesting story behind
I got one
this
of mine here
flag
that you already did it to mine, but I'm gonna.
Yeah. And the nice thing about it is if you don't like the result you're getting, you can, like, you can't see this, but you can lay it down on a flat surface and pretty much, begin again.
Flatten it out.
Yeah, as long as you don't put a crease in it. And the way you do this without putting a crease in is you use a rod. For a bigger flag, I like the end of a paintbrush because it's nice and smooth. And I'll take a new one here. And for realism, I like to start up at a corner here. Just the way the wind would actually blow the tip of the flag before it blows to the hoist of the flag. And I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there, but you just wrap it around that.
So is it the thickness of the paper that holds it, or do you have something between the paper that keeps the shape?
The way I make these flags, they're laminated. So it's really two pieces of paper that are glued together. I use a rubber cement and glue them together.
Okay.
So that gives the flag enough of a stiffness.
Gotcha.
Like the medieval flags, they used a buckram plaster mixture to make the herald flags stiff so that the knights can see them. So that's the same sort of thing that happens to my flags. They get stiff because they're laminated with the rubber cement in between. You just have to remember to use the rubber cement properly so it lasts. You pour it on both surfaces and then let it totally air dry before you laminate the flags together.
Huh.
And that's why I think it's a stiffness that holds the shape, but is also pliable, because maybe you want a more dramatic look. It's hard to do this with where you just sort of tighten it down like that and then open it back up, and you got a whole nother image.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
That looks really
Yeah, it
cool.
looks realistic. So,
Thank you.
what made you start this from the beginning? I mean, like, what got you started? I mean, were you just a collector all your life, or did you start it later on? Or
Well, I've been an artist all my life, and then later on a commercial artist, art director, VP marketing. That's my career. But since 1960, I was 11 years old, and I got really hooked on the whole Civil War centennial that was happening, and all the great products that were coming out, and books, and Bruce Canton, and all of these things that were happening. And that got me into that becoming my favorite subject to draw. And I would do illustrations of soldiers, later on knights and Napoleonics and so on. But I would do these illustrations. Sometimes they'd be published in a magazine, or I did a calendar. Did a calendar for about 10 years that was selling in Gettysburg and other places around the country, of Civil War soldiers. In fact, way back on the, I can't get this to, on the door there is one of my calendars hanging there from the 1980s.
Yeah, behind you. Yep.
Yeah, with
I can't bring you up any bigger than that, but we can.
That's okay. But my friend, well, I've got that in a smaller version. George, would you hand me the other pictures right there, please? A friend of mine at the time, when I was doing this calendar, his name is Howie Mattis. Later on, he became H. Michael Mattis. But when I knew him, he was just Howie, and he lived in Milwaukee, and we got together. And this is actually a portrait of Howie here, and he posed for me holding a broomstick, because that flag that he has there, that Georgia artillery flag, would have been way too expensive to
I'm sure,
for a photo. But Howard was a guy who was he was quite well known in the artistic community. Triani and Dale Gallen and Kunstler and these guys. Everybody went to Howie to get the uniforms right, and the flags right, and the weapons, because his main love was flags and weapons. But he was an authority on virtually everything Civil War. So Howie got me into, he enabled me to look at and touch, feel the real flags, go to his home, the collection that he had of the real flags. And I just got sort of like in love with doing these flags. So as the opportunities to sell illustrations and prints started dying down, as the internet became popular, I moved more into just doing the flags for miniature guys. And the fun thing about flags is they're very colorful, and there's thousands of varieties of flags, even in the Civil War alone, thousands of flags. Yeah. So that's how it all started, I guess. It's been pretty much a hobby and a part-time profession, aside from my real job. But my real job enabled me to visit military museums all over the world for the last 30 or so years. Actually, take away about 18. I've been retired for about 18 years, so maybe 40 years I've been doing that. Wow. And that's been fun.
You already have a question from the chat room. Somebody wants to know if you're going to be at the Gettysburg show this year.
No, I don't get to the Gettysburg show. I used to go to Gettysburg quite a bit. I had some nice contacts out there. They were selling some of my stuff out there. They were selling my flags. They were selling calendars. But that's a long time ago. That's when I was still working full-time and traveling. And I don't do much traveling anymore. I'm 75 years old. It's just too difficult. But I will be at the Chicago Toy Soldier Show, as I have been for 30, 40 years, whatever it's been. And I'll be at the Military Miniature Society of Illinois, which is a fantastic miniature show. and a lot of crossover between customers of those two shows. And
Yeah.
those are in September and October. So I don't know if you've ever been to the Chicago Toy Soldier show, but it's a very, very nice show.
Phenomenal.
Real
Phil
quickly,
Yes.
are you guys getting feedback on something else? I'm hearing like somebody else talking.
Yeah, there's some sort of radio in the background or something.
Yeah, it's every time you're talking. Do you have your computer on, John? Maybe are you watching the show itself, or no? Do you have anything else on?
I'm just here in front of the laptop.
Yeah, every time you
Nothing
talk,
else?
we hear somebody else talking. I don't know.
What else
Maybe it's
did
just
I-
feedback or something.
Is it maybe just feedback on your?
Maybe
That's probably just because you don't have headphones plugged in.
I don't have headphones plugged in.
Doesn't matter.
I don't either, but
No, none of us do.
okay, that's fine. I just
don't
didn't know if
what's
anybody else was
causing-
hearing it. I'm hearing it on my end. I didn't know if anybody else was hearing it. So
Yeah, I can hear it, but John's loud and clear.
yeah,
You can
John's
hear-
louder than whatever we're hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a reputation for that, especially because I'm deaf out of one ear and can't hear it out of the other.
Right. Joe, you got a question? John, you got a question? Rick?
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Do you do so? Are you exclusive to World War II, Revolutionary War flags, and do you anything past like World War I, World War II, maybe?
I've done some World War One. I've done World War Two, medieval flags, 7 Years' War, French and Indian War, as we call it here in the States. Revolution, Napoleonic, medieval, Vietnam. There wasn't much to do with Vietnam. In fact, I think the last army that actually carried a battle flag into combat was the Russians, and the Japanese to a degree, the infantry. But so there aren't a lot of good subjects anymore, to do flags of. But I've done commissions for just about anything, Zulu Wars.
Okay.
I did a commission not too long ago for a guy who wanted a flag for the tribes of Israel during the time of the Egyptian, and then an Egyptian flag.
All right.
Pretty
You got another
interesting.
question, man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you I know what the answer is to this. I'm gonna let you answer, but what do
Okay.
you use for the flag staffs?
I use piano wire.
I know, and I hate you for this because sometimes I have to cut those things, and those things are hard as shit.
Well, you're not gonna cut them with a wire cutters.
Yeah, I know.
You need a Dremel tool.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's not easily bent. So it's perfect for miniature soldiers because it's not gonna. It puts up with everything.
Oh yeah.
And I have to have something that I can, once the flag is completed, that I can push through the sleeve of the flag without tearing up the flag, and so on, like that.
And that's why you grind the tip.
Yeah, I grind the tip so it'll slide through without tearing the paper, and also it simulates a spear point.
Gotcha.
Howie told me, the finials that were on the top of these flagpoles in the Civil War, they're usually like a spade shape of some sort, and they were quite often brass or, and he told me, he says, they're hard to find in museums, which is very true. And one of the reasons they're hard to find is because many of them didn't last very long in any kind of a battle or conflict. They were shot off or knocked off or ran into trees or whatever. Many flags were just carried with a flag staff, the wooden flag staff, and they didn't have a finial. Of course, the artists don't like that, but that's how it was. So I'm not too worried about having a finial on my flagpoles. I just want a sharpened point.
No,
Makes
they
it
look
functional.
They look great, man.
Thank
You
you.
got another question here, and you were going to lead into this anyway. How do you make the flags look like they're war torn? Like
the weathering?
seen some battle. Yeah. How do you make that?
Yeah.
Let's bring
Well-
those up. Bring those up close and show. So you got some holes in them.
yeah.
You got some rips in them.
Gunpowder stains or dirt stains, mud stains, that sort of thing. The technique that I find works best is a combination of things. First, starting with like a little bit of a, I don't remember what we call it. It's a little pointed soldering iron. Pyrogravure. You guys familiar with that? What a pyrogravure is?
I probably have one. I just don't know the name
It's like
of it.
it's a needle that's a soldering iron, and you plug it in and it heats up, and it's perfect for making little bullet holes in your paper flag.
Oh wow!
And then this kind of stuff here, I just cut with my X-Acto knife. Sometimes I do a little tearing thing here for a larger hole. And along the way, I also do some weathering techniques. I've done a lot of professional model making of railroad cars and airplanes and all tanks and all sorts of things. And I find for these flags, what works best is to use chalks because the chalks, you can pretty much get away with mistakes with the chalk. One thing I don't use, and I don't recommend to anybody, is any kind of liquid. No liquid paints of any sort, because this is paper. So there's a little guy, 28 millimeter size.
Can't see him. Yep, a little higher. There you go. Yeah. Okay.
There's a little guy there. They're more difficult because they're so small. And I use chalks to weather them. And the chalks seem to work out pretty good. Sometimes a pastel pencil also.
All right.
But it's just a matter of patience and chipping away with your sharp, always sharp X-Acto blade. Don't worry about, getting a lot of life out of a blade. The paper dulls your blade.
Now, I discovered you years ago on eBay, I guess. And, you've made me so many flags now, but can you elaborate on the recent 4 that you just sent me without going into too much detail on these 4? And actually, what's funny, when I order from you, I get a history lesson every time I order from you. That.
So.
And I love it because, you're not just getting a flag, you're getting a whole history behind that flag. And because I'll be honest with you guys, I wanted a Texas flag for the set.
Yeah.
But the particular flag I wanted apparently was surrendered at Antietam. It didn't make it to Gettysburg. But I still wanted a Texas flag. And John's like, look, that flag didn't exist. I said, I don't care, John. John's like, so we're going back and forth. And I'm like, look, dude, I'm the customer. I want this flag. He's like, but that flag wasn't there, So
that flag you're talking about that's a famous flag from Antietam, and it wasn't really captured. And the Southerners take real pride in this.
Sure.
The regiment, I think it was the 5th Texas, I don't remember exactly, but they took tremendously heavy casualties in Antietam, and they that particular flag that now is in the Antietam History Museum there, that flag was buried under a body or two on the battlefield, and the Union Army taking over that ground found that flag by accident underneath a Southern soldier's body. So they didn't capture the flag. The flag was somehow left behind, and that flag exists, and it's in this museum in Antietam battlefield. But those flags were carried there in 1862, and then the Southern Army, the Richmond regime, whatever, they put out a standing order that you couldn't carry those Texas one-star flags anymore. In fact, they didn't want anybody carrying a state flag. They wanted them just to carry the Southern Cross, if it was the Army of Northern Virginia. Yeah. And but Southerners being what they are, a number of regiments still carried the state flag. And that particular flag that you have right there, Paul, was made by some ladies and sent to the regiment as a substitute for the flag that was left behind at Antietam. And what they did was they put a black crepe border to that flag to remember and symbolize the tremendous losses the regiment had at the Battle of Antietam. And that particular flag was carried at Gettysburg. Now, I don't know if it was captured later. It doesn't exist today. And it's pretty much relayed through newspaper articles and so on that enough people believe it really existed. And certainly other Southern flags did bear what they call black crepe adornments of a black cross or a black X. You know, a number of those happened after Stonewall Jackson was killed. Now, not many survive because the nature of flags, you know, they're not durable.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So that's the story on that flag. I find that an interesting story that they put that border on there in remembrance of the losses they had at Antietam.
You know, I put this little video. If you want to walk us through
Sure.
the pictures that you sent me, is that okay?
Okay.
We good?
You bet.
All right. And I'll pause this for you. Can you see that first picture?
First page of my catalog on the Civil War flags, basically going over the major variations. Everybody's familiar with the Army of Northern Virginia flags up at the top, but bottom are other Southern armies that carried variations of the Southern flag, and also the totally own designs of flags, very different. You know, Taylor's, he reversed the colors and did not do the fimbration, the white trim. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but they were perfect squares, right? They weren't rectangles like other flags, right?
Oh, the Army of Northern Virginia?
Well,
that's
I
right.
mean, most of the rebel flags that had the Southern Cross, weren't they like a perfect square?
Oh, yeah, they were squares. Not always perfect squares, but yes, they were more square than rectangular. Yeah. The national flags were almost always rectangular. Those are up at the top. Mm-hmm. You know, the first, second, and the third. The third almost never appeared anyplace. It was issued in March of 1865, a month or so before the war ended. But and the second flag, the stainless banner, was never really replaced the stars and bars. The first national flag, even though it was supposedly not to be used anymore after 1863, May or so, troops get attached to their flags. The flags become very, very important. They weren't going to give them up. They didn't give them up usually until they were so worn out or they were captured. So those flags, those first national stars and bars, there was many, many, many of those that were surrendered at Appomattox at the end of the war that were still being carried into battle. And, you know, people don't realize that just because somebody in Richmond or Washington made an official statement about we're not going to carry this flag anymore, it didn't work that way in the field, you know. Even today, anybody who's been in the service knows there's the book, and then there's things that you do that aren't in the book. And that includes how you dress. So that's what that page is about, and the different variations that the Confederate factories manufactured during the war. And those flags were very, very important to these soldiers. All flags were, both sides.
I'm on the next page. Can you see that or not? Are you still looking at the first page?
No, I don't have the next page yet.
What do you guys see? Anybody?
The next page. Page 2.
Next page.
I see
page 1. I see page 1.
Well, we're looking at page 2 right now, and it has a bunch of flags with white X's on it. It looks like or blue.
What's it say at the top of the page?
Civil War Union flags, page 2.
Okay, so that's a page of flags carried by more or less the regular army. Regular army was very small during the Civil War and before the Civil War, but they did have their own style of flags. And in many cases, what was most important were the headquarters flags, because each commanding general of an army would have his own flag, so that they could easily find the guy, you know?
Yeah.
Wasn't necessarily carried into a battle, but it was his headquarters flag, Meade's flag, and Army of Cumberland, and so on. That's page 2.
All right.
Page 2 are the Corps flags. I'm sorry. Now I got
You're
page 2. Page 2 has.
We're on page 10 now, it says.
Now you're on 10.
Civil War.
Each page. Yep, each page in the catalog. Now I'm seeing it. For whatever reason, it's working just
Yeah,
fine.
it might have a little delay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the states raised the regiments, and each state had their own flags and their own state flags often. In the Northern Army, state flags were flown, or what we call regimental flags, were flown right alongside the national colors. Okay, and they were usually carried by a group of guys at color guard, and they were almost always together. You had a national flag and the regimental flag.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, not always, but sometimes on the national flag, the unit information was painted on or sewn on the flag. And that's what you see there is flags from Massachusetts, and then some of the flags from Michigan.
Nice.
And that's page 10.
All right.
Go back to the Confederates.
Confederates, page 2.
Yes, flags from Alabama. This whole page is just different flags from Alabama. And it's just a handful of the regiments that were raised in Alabama. And it also shows you flags from different periods of the war. You know, up in the top left is the second flag is what was called the stainless banner. That was the second national flag. And troops did not like that flag at all because it often looked like a flag of surrender. And there was a reluctance to carrying that. As I said before, many of them would just keep their first national stars and bars, as it was called, the flag at the top left.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, those were more popular. Even though at Bull Run, they were similar to the Union flag, the national flag, but they got over it.
Can you see this next page?
Yeah, these are French troops that fought in the Revolutionary War, our Revolutionary War. So if you want to model that period, I've got a bunch of flags there of units that actually were in the colonies during the time. Amongst, there were hundreds of French regiments, but these are the ones that participated. And interesting to me is that white flag up in the top left corner was the colonel's flag. There was one of those for each regiment. And the colored flags were probably carried by battalions, but it changes. But every regiment had one of those white flags, and they all looked the same. So go figure. But again, just like in our Union Army, the French regiments carried a colonel's flag and a battalion flag. So you had the colonel's flag identifying the group as a regiment of French infantry, but you had the colored flag, which identified what regiment it was, depending on the colors and the patterns being used.
Okay. Tell me what we see next.
Russian Napoleonic flags.
Yep.
And these flags go back from 1750s or 1740s, and were used right up through 1797. Around 1800, they started changing the designs of their flags in Russia, but not a great deal. But Russians had some very, very colorful flags. And again, every flag identified a regiment. Commanders didn't have radios or air surveillance or anything else, so they had to look for the troop movements and the troop positions by the color of the flags. And the flags were carried generally in center of line or center of columns sometimes, so that the commander, he saw where the flags were, he knew, well, that's where this was happening or that was happening.
Uh-huh.
Likewise, the troopers and the infantrymen would rally to where those flags were. And the flags were usually held up high above the smoke from the muskets so that people could see them. They were also targets.
Oh, I'm sure. Let's see what's next here. Can you see that?
British flags from the Napoleonic period. Again, like our system in the Union Army, there was a king's flag and a second flag, or a regimental flag. We call them regimental flags. I think the British call them a second color, first color, a second color, or a king's color. Every regiment carried a king's color, and then the second flag was usually in the color of the turnbacks that the soldiers' uniforms had, the lapels, cuffs, things like that. So the Royal Regiments up there, they had that maroon color.
Mm-hmm.
And other regiments were distinguished by the different colors. And the Brits had, I think, one king's flag and then a flag for every battalion. So there was a lot of British flags in battle.
You got a question from the audience again. Paul wants to know about how much average is for one flag cost. And I know you don't sell by the single. You usually do a 3 or 5.
Well, yeah, if you want a single flag, it's like $5. But I have a special pricing thing where you can buy 5 flags for $22, and you can send me email. I don't sell anywhere except on eBay and at shows, but I'll sell you direct on email. And I do custom flags. They're a little more expensive, depending on how detailed it is. But these are my do-it-yourself flags. That's a little different story. That's this thing here, where you get a whole sheet of flags, and in this case, these Union flags, you get a few sheets of that, different regiments, and that's like about $12, I think, these days. And you make them yourself. I have an instruction sheet that explains.
Yep.
It explains how you do the thing, how you do my laminating process and everything else. So those are cheaper, but you got to make them yourself and you got to glue them together yourself. And some people don't like to do that. They want the thing that's ready to go. They're ready to go. 5 flags for $22. These do-it-yourself flags are less expensive. You get more flags, pay less money for them.
Scavenger Toys wants to know, is that entire binder, do you have that published anywhere for a reference?
No, I don't. I would email it to you. I'll email you all the catalog pages, but I can't publish it. It costs more money. I use a special paper and special inks, and they're very expensive. And I won't have something like that printed on just a standard printer's ink. It isn't the quality I want it to be. Gotcha. So to get the quality, I can't. People wouldn't be able to pay for this set. It's too expensive.
So this next page, it says do-it-yourself set 21 Union flags.
Mm-hmm.
8x10. Yep. Is it just another one of the do-it-yourselfers that you can buy?
That's a set. Yep, I have those sets for the Revolution, Civil War, World War II.
Now this one I did a little blocking on this, but
yes, you did.
I'm sure people understand. Hopefully we won't get dinged on YouTube, but
the good luck swastika that became something entirely different when Hitler got dinged on it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the American Indians had those things on their teepees, for crying out loud.
Yeah, they did. Yep. So, but these are World War II era, obviously.
Yes, that's right.
And then
I can do these things in 28 millimeter also, if you're interested, the war gamers.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Oh yes. Yeah, I've got some.
So you don't. So you advertise 1/32 scale. Is that your go-to scale, and then you can go up or down from there, or do you?
Not so much up, but down, yes.
Okay.
You know, and this is a 28 millimeter of a Confederate battle flag.
Yep.
Which.
Do you find that are people ordering more certain eras from you? I mean, is it pretty much all around? I mean, I would think Civil War would have more flags than any other era.
Civil War, is the most popular in this country. Although you go through periods, for a while the 7 Years' War was very popular, French and Indian War. Sometimes I get a lot of call for Alamo flags. which there's not a very great deal of good reference material on that. But and then after Civil War, I would say definitely the Napoleonics.
Mhm.
You know, they're really popular, especially because I offer the French flags with the. What am I doing?
Yep.
How do I get
Straight
this?
up, right there. Yep. Yeah, you're good.
With the eagle? They love the eagle.
Yeah.
And
So, what is that 3D printed? The eagle, or what is it?
the eagles I buy from a company called Hysterex.
Okay.
Why am I?
Something's beeping. Whatever's beeping, that's where you're getting the feedback from.
That's my insulin pump.
All right.
I can't stop that one.
No. Yeah, don't stop that.
Yeah. No, I don't want to stop that. But mostly Civil War. I have a lot of customers that do more than one era.
Yeah.
It's they'll do Civil War and American Revolution, or they'll Civil War and World War II.
I'm all over the place. I know I've ordered everything from you, from
Yeah.
Rev War to French and Indian to Civil War. You got another question here from Patrick Grain. Do you have them for 1/32 scale figures for their shoulder World War II airborne, for instance?
Like the patches, huh?
The patches?
I don't know what he means by the patches, but my flags, for the most part, are made to what's called 54 millimeter figure size, which is either 1/32 or 1/35, depending on who's manufacturing the figures, or 1/30th if they're Hysterex. But they all fit in that category, because the difference between 1/32 and 1/35 is so negligible on a flag that is 5 feet square or 48 inches square. It just the flag fits for all those scales.
Yeah. Can
but
you
I don't know what he means by-
you showed us backstage how to convert a figure. I mean, can you go by that
Yeah.
just maybe a minute or two, just showing people if they're not
Sure.
familiar?
Okay. A lot of people like to use my flags with the Marks figures, and Marks has a couple flag bearers, but I like to convert other figures that aren't flag bearers, because that way you can have a more variety of the poses. So this is a little guy that I took from Marks, and I cut the rifle away from him, and then I popped him in the boiling water for a while to soften up the plastic, and I bent this arm into a better position to be holding a flag upright rather than a rifle that's just pointing forward. And then you carefully drill a hole through his hands, a hole through which I can insert my flagpole. And voila, you have a runt infantryman carrying a flag. I'm having to do everything like in reverse on my camera here, I guess. So converting the figures is sort of a fun thing to do. It takes a little time. You got to work with your pin vise, work with your X-Acto knife to get the weapons cut away cleanly. Here's another one I did with a Conte figure, who also was, I don't know, carrying a musket, I think. This was a Confederate horseman. Marks. Any of you guys do Marks figures?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I find the only way to get the Marks cavalrymen to sit decently on their horses after chopping away at the saddle a bit with an X-Acto knife and trying some other things is Walther's goo. I don't know if you ever use Walther's goo.
Yep.
It's a super strong rubber cement.
Yeah,
And
the
if you
rubber
put
cement.
a bunch of Walther's goo on the saddle and a whole bunch on the guy's butt, and you let it all air dry because it's the rubber cement, and then you make contact, they stay on those figures, on those horses, pretty good. But man, I had Marks figures when I was, in the 1960s when they first brought that stuff out, and they never ever figured out how to make those horses and riders seat comfortably.
Yeah.
I never understood that, but they invested in the steel die, so they weren't about to change it. So
Well, we got a couple minutes left. Anybody guys got questions?
John, what is the your eBay I guess name or?
If you can do a customer search on eBay, it's LUCKY 12500. Now, if you look me up, and I suggest you look me up on email, because eBay gets really crazy about Confederate flag and stuff. It's insane. But my email is LUCKY12500 at AOL.com.
Oh,
right, Josiah?
Yep. You got it.
Josiah wants to get me hooked up with a better email, but I haven't taken that plunge. I'm not. I can handle Photoshop pretty well, but other things, computer, no thanks. And I don't do well on texting.
Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah. Have you ever done shield designs, like for ancient Greeks or anything like that, to be glued on?
People ask me, but there was a time when I could make, and in fact, as a matter of fact, I used to print decals for a company I work for. And but I don't have the capability to print a decal. And if you can't make a design for a shield out of a decal, it's not going to happen, because I'm working with paper, and you need something that's going to settle down into those grooves and ridges and stuff, and you put some diasol or something on it to smooth it down. That requires a decal. So I can do the designs, but you got to find somebody else who's going to make it into a decal for you.
Okay.
And I know you can buy some decal papers, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I'm gonna type your email in here so people can find it on the chat. What is it? Lucky what?
I got it, Paul. I'm sending it out.
Oh, you're sending it out? Okay, cool.
12500 at AOL.com. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Merci, Jean.
Bienvenue. You're welcome.
I got a few questions, John, for you.
Yeah.
I got a question that I ask all my people that come in for interviews, and it has nothing to do with your flags. Okay, we're going to get off the subject a little bit, but
okay.
Give us one good memory of growing up as a kid playing with your toy, either toy soldiers or any toy in particular. I mean, was there a Christmas, a birthday, something that really sparks your memory about playing with your toys?
Well, I remember my two favorite toys when I was a young kid, was trains, model trains. My grandfather was a guy with Lionel and Marx and all that. And then later on, I got into the HO trains. And was my Marx battle, I forget what they call them, but I had the Civil War sets, blue and gray. I had Fort Apache, and my buddies and I, we would play with those things. We'd set up our armies and get the marbles out and see who killed more of the other guys. I don't think kids do that anymore. It's really sad. They don't play with trains anymore either.
Yeah.
And yet
every dying hobby, man. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy, because I've been to literally dozens, if not hundreds, of train shows, and every time the kids come into the train shows, they just go nuts watching those trains. They just love those trains. There's something about miniature trains and kids, and I don't know what it is exactly, but there's some psychographic thing going on there. But retailers aren't interested anymore in promoting those train sets. You got to be in the computer business nowadays, I guess, or a video game.
Do you still collect, or you just sell?
If you really want to love your hobby, don't ever make it your business, your livelihood, because it just doesn't work out. I used to build models and all of this stuff, and because it was all part of the job, but you come home at night and you don't want to do that anymore. So, I got into more fun roller skating with my kids, and stuff like that. And then I don't have it. It's just no, I don't really collect. I have all sorts of stuff that I've collected over the years. And
any toys from your childhood that made it, survived?
That I still have? No, maybe some Rocco mini tanks. We used to buy those things for 25 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Nowadays, for fun, I get my hands on some of those, and I paint them up and I weather them, and I add details to them and stuff like that. And I can sell them on eBay for, $30, $40. But it's time consuming. It's sort of fun. But no, I'm not much of a collector at all. And I'm a collector of books. I've got books and books and books on flags.
Oh, man.
Some beautiful books, but they're just books,
Well, hey, we're at the top of the hour, man. I really want to thank you for coming on the show. I know it's been a while. We were trying to hook up over the last couple months, and we finally got you nailed down. And hopefully you can come back sometime in the future, man. Talk some more flags. And
well, I'd love to do it if you guys will have me. I mean, I appreciate being here.
Absolutely, man.
And
one more time, can you tell people where they find you, especially on eBay?
Okay, on eBay, just look up LUCKY 12500. That's my customer name on eBay. Or if you just search Civil War flags, I've got a bunch of offers there on flags. Something should come up.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. I type in 132nd scale flags, and you're like one of the first 2 or 3 that come up, man. So
I 132nd or 54 millimeter sometimes works even better.
You have a yellow background behind all your flags on eBay.
Good.
That's how I remember yours, man.
So. All right, Paul.
And the email one more time, because I wasn't able to post the email. I think YouTube doesn't allow it because I posted it, but it never went through. So it's the email, I'm assuming, is lucky12500@aol.com.
At AOL.com. That's perfect.
So whoever didn't get it,
Again, my father was born in Canada.
Where?
My father's German, but he was born in Canada. When they moved down to Wisconsin, and then the war came about in 1941, he tried to join, and the Army wouldn't let him in because he was a German descent from Canada. But eventually he got in, and he got naturalized citizenship when he was in the Army in World War II in Europe.
Where in Canada was he born?
Saskatchewan.
Oh,
the family moved east. They were farmers.
Okay.
And they ended up in almost my entire family, extended family, still lives in Canada.
Wow.
All through Canada, actually, except for my immediate family right here. We're in the United States. Yes.
Well, hey, John, I definitely want to thank you for getting this to me quickly.
You're welcome.
I got all the flags and ready to start putting them in my play set. And again, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Okay. Rick, John, and Joe, we'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
All right.
Yep.
And next week, I don't want to say who our special guest is because I haven't locked him in yet, but I think some of you guys might know him. So Toy Soldier Tuesday, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on my channel, Paul Knapp. Guys, have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, good job.